Welcome to Ignite, folks. I hope you've been enjoying yourselves and hope you heard about what we are doing in the world of analytics with Azure Synapse Analytics. And if that's what you're interested in, you're in the right session. So I'm Santosh Balasubramanian. I've been working in the analytics space, SQL, IoT analytics, and now Synapse Analytics for some time. I actually have some of our customers who are here who came with me on stage with some of our IoT analytics efforts. What I'm going to walk through today is a few things. This is a 200-level session, so I want you to leave with why, what, and a demo which I'm going to show you of an end-to-end of Azure Synapse Analytics. I really want you to leave here with understanding of what is the breadth of capabilities that you can do with Azure Synapse Analytics. And there's a bunch of my colleagues here who are going to do more drill down sessions, which I'll show you in the end of the slide, in the end of the presentation, where you can learn more about the details if you're interested in them. One thing, just because there's a lot of content and there's a lot of people, I will not take random questions. I'll probably try to take questions at certain parts of the presentation just to keep the content going. And towards the end of the session, given all the folks who are there from Synapse Analytics teams, you're welcome to sit with us and ask any of the questions that you want. All right, so getting started. One of the things that I wanted to start with is just what are the kinds of customer problems that we hear? We are working with thousands of analytics customers, and even for Synapse Analytics, we went and did a survey of a bunch of customers here. And the kinds of problems that they're trying to solve, actually they're simple. I want to engage better with my customers. I want to be able to do things such as predict churn, predict demand, and try to go and do things to optimize the experiences for my customers. I want to be able to optimize things such as my operations. We have a customer who is working and saying, how can I forecast demand and be able to optimize my supply chain based on this forecasted demand and give this insights to my end users so they can do the right things that they need to do. Another set of customers that we look in the manufacturing firm, IoT. I have so many different connected devices. How do I get data from all of these devices? How do I get data from all my line of business applications? And how can I use the data to predict things such as failures and be proactive in my maintenance? And all of these things, these different scenarios, I'm just talking about a very small subset of them, are used to do one thing, which is to empower our employees to take the right action. The real goal is trying to get these insights from the data faster. And what drives these insights fundamentally is the data. Data is what drives all digital transformation. And what companies are trying to do is trying to get this data, make this data available to their end users, make this data consumable by their end users, and actionable by their end users. Seems very simple, right? I mean, we have tools that can do all of these things. So why is it that when like Harvard Business Review does a survey of the top leaders in the analytics space, they say that AI and analytics is one of the top investments that they care about. And despite this being the top investment, despite them going and putting resourcing into solving these problems, they say that 80% of their end users are still struggling to get data and insights in a timely manner. They say 55% of the challenges that we have is this data is in silos. And it's not just about the data being in silos. It's also about the processes being in silos, the teams that are working on this data being in silos. So why is it that it's so difficult to enable scenarios for your analytics, for your AI and your BI? The next research that we did was really try to go and understand what are customers trying to do to build this comprehensive data platform. And in order to build this, there are really two things that we see. One is the world of big data and data lake, and relational data and warehousing. So let me talk through this for a few minutes because it's very essential to say what we are trying to do in Synapse Analytics. Data, which is coming from all these different places, telemetry, connected devices, line of business applications, external data sources. One of the things you want to do is be able to collect this data and give this data to your data developers. This is where a lot of our customers are bringing all the data to the data lake. They store the data in the data lake. And what they want to enable the data developers to do is experiment on this data, really explore this data. I don't know what I am going to find. I don't know what I want. I know what is the business requirement is, but I need to be able to go explore this data really fast, experiment on this data really fast. But in order to serve this to my end business users, I need a system which has dependable performance. What you folks who saw Satya's demo today or Rohan's demo, you can see what was shown today was not just a demo. It was really, those are the kinds of requirements that customers come to us and say, when I get my insights, I want to enable thousands of users to be able to use the BI report and be able to go and explore the data using BI reports seamlessly. This concurrency at scale, then security and privacy requirements, right? When I'm making decisions, my business users are making decisions, there is a lot of security, row level, column level, all the way, data masking, all of these things that you need to think about. So despite us having these two spaces, why is it that it's hard for customers to get from raw data, which is coming to the lake, to go to warehousing solutions, which goes to BI very easily? What we learned from our customers are there are challenges in getting these two systems in working together very easily. Some of these challenges are around, I'll give you some examples. Security, right? How do my enterprise comes and tells me, I want to have a single security model for my end-to-end analytics solution. So I have to go and implement it. The ability to have different tools to implement it is great, and we all give capabilities to bring this together. But imagine if there is a world where I have a single security model that I say, and irrespective of whatever I'm trying to do, I'm able to do it within that single security boundary. I'm going to actually show some of those things today. Some of the other things are inconsistent development experiences. What we see is because of this silos of big data processing, let's say with Spark developers and relational processing, let's say SQL developers on our warehouse, what we see is there's a silo of tooling. There's a silo of experiences. And the experience is not just the experience of writing my code. It is also the experience of management, the experience of monitoring, really thinking about how do I do this end-to-end. That is fundamentally some of the problems. And think about data and metadata that is flowing, right? We are all trying to work in action upon the same data, but still, I have to go through the challenges of working through both of these together. These are some of the motivations that helped us learn from multitude of customer interviews to work on Azure Synapse Analytics. What we are doing in Azure Synapse Analytics is bringing these two worlds of big data processing and relational warehousing together. We are taking the Azure SQL data warehouse and we are evolving the Azure SQL data warehouse. We are evolving the warehouse to enable it to bring big data, data warehousing, and data integration into a single service. This way, you can think about all those different things that I was talking about, the silos that I was talking about. Hey, here are my Spark developers. Here are my warehouse developers. We need to get them to work together. The inconsistency in tooling and other things like monitoring. How can we bring that and bridge that gap? That is what we're doing with Azure Synapse Analytics. And all of this is building upon all the greatness of our existing warehousing product, which is Azure SQL Data Warehouse. And we are using all the capabilities and adding on top of these preview features that I'm going to show you today. Before I do that, I wanted to actually do one quick dive into how should you think about what is Azure Synapse Analytics. To start out with, you can see there's data that is bought from different places to the data lake. This is where I can have different formats of data, different kinds of data. I can secure the data right here in files and folders. Once I have the data, as I had said, we are bringing together SQL Analytics, Apache Spark, and data integration. Data integration, when I say this, then this is what will enable you to bring the data to the lake. With over 85 plus connectors, which go to on-premise sources, to cloud sources, to SaaS applications, you can bring the data and orchestrate pipelines, complex pipelines, in a code-free or code-first manner and easily create your pipeline. Once you do this, then I want to be able to prepare the data. I want to be able to cleanse the data. In my demo, I'll actually show you a real-life example of why cleansing of data is very necessary. And when you come to these scenarios, it depends upon what is the kind of the data, what are the kinds of users and developers and data developers I have in my organization, and what tools or what capabilities that they want to use. This is why we are bringing both the SQL Analytics with batch, interactive, and streaming capabilities. And you will see some new capabilities that we have announced today with Azure Synapse Analytics, and Apache Spark, which gives you the flexibility of different languages that you want to use, both in the same product. Now, once you do this, one of the other things that we learned was there are different ways that you want to use different analytics runtimes. For example, if I'm just looking at my data lake and I want to know what is this data, I just want to run a quick query in a serverless manner. I don't want to worry about provisioning resources in order to do it or doing any of those things. We have given a capability for that with on-demand form factor for running your SQL Analytics. At the same time, I know what I want to do. I want to be able to get my price perf. We are given provision capability, which is your warehouse, in our SQL Analytics offerings as well with Synapse Analytics. And of course, the fact that we are bringing these two ecosystems, are breaking the silos and bringing these two worlds together, what you see is the ability to support multiple languages on top. I was just talking to one of our customers who is using analytics, and they were saying, hey, we want .NET because we have been using .NET. So we do have certain capabilities of Spark.NET here. There's a bunch of customers who are using Python, Java, and your whole SQL ecosystem that you can bring together and help them learn from this. But it's not just about bringing features and languages and form factors for provision and on-demand. It is really about removing that pain that I talked to you about, which is, can we have a single analytics platform where all these challenges just become capabilities, where this platform provides a single pane of glass for management, a single pane of glass for monitoring. Let me explain what monitoring means in a lot of ways when you think about how these capabilities come close together. Imagine I build a pipeline, and in this pipeline, I have some Spark jobs, I have some stored procedures which are running. If I could just go and look at this pipeline and say, hey, I'm having a problem with it, a single click goes directly to your Spark jobs, goes directly to your stored procedures, fix it, single click, optimizes it, and brings it back into your pipeline to deploy it. These are the kinds of things that we see that data developers need in order to get insights faster, build their end-to-end jobs faster to help their end users. Similarly, security. What you will see today in my demos is I'm not going to put credentials anywhere in. I'm going to use SQL Analytics. I'm going to use Spark, data lake, data integration. All of this has been plumbed with single sign-on. So these are some important things. Once I do this, I can do auditing and other things as well in the platform. And of course, great to have platform capabilities and engines and runtimes, but without an end-to-end experience that enables you to do both your development, management, and monitoring, it is very hard for the customers to go on. Even though I'm going to show you the Synapse Studio, I do want to make sure that I say this, that existing tools which are there, an existing ecosystem of tools, whether be it in Spark or whether be it SSMS for SQL, will work with all the different endpoints of the analytics runtimes which is provided in Synapse Analytics. And of course, this is for enabling a variety of different scenarios because we're bringing the big data and warehousing together. I'll just take a couple of questions, at least one question, if there are any questions. Or is this very obvious? Yes, sir.
What's the, like, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can repeat the question.
So in this platform, we are not talking anything about the data lineage or cataloging portion of it. Like, do you have any roadmap on that?
Yes. So the question is, in this platform, we are not talking about data lineage and cataloging and what is the roadmap. We are working very closely with the Azure Data Catalog and other initiatives at Azure in order to ensure that any of the pipelines that you build, the jobs that you do, the artifacts that you create in Synapse Analytics, you'll be able to catalog it, track it. This is something that we are working with the team. I cannot tell you when this will be released, but we are actively working towards this. All right, so I am going to now go to the demo. What I want to show in this demo is, first I'll walk through the concepts which we are going to be exposed in Azure Synapse Analytics. Once I do that, I'm going to walk through an end-to-end use case. So let me start with the concepts. Oh, I always do this, so let me first of all stop my presentation so you can see the screen and not just myself. All right, everybody can see the screen now. So the first concepts that I want to talk about is the concept of a workspace in Synapse Analytics. You go to the Azure portal and you create a workspace. A workspace is where you create your SQL pools, which are your warehouses. A workspace is where you create your Spark pools. This is where you create your data integration pipelines for your end-to-end analytics solution that you're creating. So I go and I provision a workspace. When I provision a workspace, I do not pay for anything. Provisioning a workspace is free. It is up to me to decide for my analytics project, what do I need to do and what are the resources or capabilities that I need to use. For example, if the first thing I need to do is I want to ingest data and I want to explore the data with SQL before I serve it to my business users, all I will do is I'll create some data pipelines, I'll ingest data to the data lake, and use SQL on-demand capabilities, which I will show you in order to explore the data. But as and how you want to evolve your analytics story, what you can do is you can add new SQL pools, new Spark pools to your workspace. Whenever I say SQL pool, please remember this is what you know as the data warehouse. So the other thing about the workspace I want to actually say, and this was interesting because I was working with one of our preview customers. We've been working with a bunch of preview customers before we came here. They asked me a question, which is, oh, wow, you're bringing data integration capability, you're bringing Apache Spark, you're bringing SQL analytics capabilities. Now that you bring these capabilities, which regions will these be available in? And what is the compliance? This is an interesting thing because what we want to do is we don't want you to think about these things. We want you to think about what regions is your workspace available in? What is the compliance that you have in your workspace? We want you to go secure your workspace, set up your VNet at a workspace, and use any of the capabilities within in order to create your end-to-end solution. Even these things, which is, how do I do lifecycle management? Remove the concept of having to do it at individual tools level. Think about doing it at the workspace level. So that is fundamentally why you're creating your workspace. Now, once I create my workspace, I'll click on this Launch Synapse Studio. So as I had said, this is the end-to-end experience. Oh, I'm going to do it like this, and then I'll expand it out. But this is where I come to develop, manage, monitor my end-to-end analytics solution. I can ingest data from here. I can explore data using Spark or SQL. I can analyze the data. I can connect to Power BI and Azure Machine Learning from here. So just a quick walkthrough of what is this analytics studio, Synapse Studio. The first thing I want to talk about is data. And here, what you see is all of my data. It is the data which I have in my data lakes. It is the data which I have in my databases. So whether it is my data lake, and this is one of the data lakes I'm going to show you in the demo, all the containers in the data lake, I can go and explore this data lake from here, just the same way that I can explore my warehouses from here as well, or my SQL pools. The databases that I've created using Spark, my Spark databases, my SQL on-demand databases, all of these things, now you have a single pane of glass for your data. And I can analyze this data any way that I want, whether in notebooks or in SQL scripts. And that's what I want to show you next. Next, we have this concept called the development hub. This is where I do my end-to-end development, whether it is creating my SQL scripts, whether it is creating my Spark notebooks, whether it is creating my data flows, which is code-free development that you will actually see today, or even my Power BI reports. And what we want to do here is we want to enable folks to very easily collaborate with each other, whether it is my Spark developers or SQL developers. Some of the things that we are working towards in this is how can I give access control across each of these artifacts so I can start sharing my artifacts with others as well. Next is the place where I come in order to create my pipelines. So here is where I create my pipelines to ingest data, orchestrate them, and of course, you can monitor this end-to-end. I can manage this. Management is where I create things which we call like link services or external services. This is where I can put my credentials, so I don't actually have to pass credentials everywhere in the rest of the solutions that I'm building. I can manage users from here. So now that I have done a quick walkthrough of the product, let me actually walk through a demo. What I want to tell you in this demo is I'm going to show you starting with a BI report, because this is what I see many customers saying. I have this BI report and I want to get data in here. I want to create this report. Anybody from New York here? All right, so you'll find this interesting, hopefully. So what you see here is data actually from New York City open data set. So this is data which is coming on yellow cabs, green cabs, for-hire vehicles, which is Uber and Lyft vehicles. This is public data, which is available to everybody. As you can see, yellow cabs and the for-hire vehicles, which is the Ubers and the Lyfts, around July 2016, it started taking off, and it's taken off quite a bit. So in order to build this, by the way, this report is running of direct query right out of the SQL pool that I'm going to show you in the workspace, okay? But in order to get this even in the SQL pool, before even running this report, one of the big things that I had to do was I had to go to this public data set, and I had to pull the green cab data, the yellow cab data, the for-hire vehicles data. I'll also show you some other public data sets that I have pulled from here. Once I pull this data set into the data lake, then I have to look at this data and see, is this data clean, or do I need to cleanse it in different ways? Once I cleanse it, I need to be able to load this into my SQL pool in order to create this report. I'm going to show you how creating one workspace, which is the workspace that you created with Azure Synapse Analytics, you can do all of these capabilities for creating this report. So the first thing that I'll show you here is in Synapse Analytics. Actually, I'm going to go to the pipeline, and I have opened some of these things, so pardon if I'm going between different tabs. This is the pipeline that enables you to create this end-to-end solution. And I am going to make sure that you can see this pipeline. So in order to create that report, you needed to ingest data, for which we use what is called the copy data activity. The copy data activity is what allows me to connect to different sources and different sinks and be able to ingest data. Here I have ingested data from the yellow cab raw data, the green cab raw data, the for hire vehicles. I've even bought some holiday data in. And this holiday data is from exactly the same place, which is the open data sets and weather data. All of this data is coming into my data lake. That's where I have ingested this. And I'll show you the data lake where I have ingested the data. So I go to my data tab. This is the data lake where I have ingested my data. And I'll go and look at one of these data sets that I have ingested. So I'll look at the yellow cab data set. This is public data which is coming. So I'm assuming this is going to be completely clean. Let's see. No, this is not. And if you go and today get this data, this is how it is going to be. We have data all the way till 2084. And why do we have this data? The reason this is this is not just about public data. This is about any data. Any data that comes in, the first thing that you have to do is really think about, how do I clean this? What do I need to do to get it ready for me to get my insights from this data, correct? So the very obvious thing, I have some bad data, so I'm just going to get rid of a bunch of data in different folders. I just want, let's say, 2015, 16, 17, 18. But the next thing I want to do is I want to go and see, all right, is it just the files and the folders that I need to clean up, or do I need to do something else? So I go in here and I see, oh, there's a Parquet file, which I had this drop of data in. How do I work on this Parquet file? I can download this, I can open a Parquet reader, or with Synapse Analytics, I could right-click this and say, I want to use this with a SQL script, or I want to open this with a notebook. I'll open this with a new SQL script, and I'll run this. And by the way, I actually don't know what is going to happen here. This is live. I just randomly picked some month. I might or might not have picked this before. But what I'm doing here is I am running what is called a SQL on-demand query. What you notice that I'm doing here is I am not setting up any provision resources. I'm not doing any of those things. All I want to do is I right-click a file, and I say, run my query. No ETL, nothing in order to do this. By the way, I used to work in SQL Server, so if folks are familiar with Always On, I worked on things like that. And the reason I'm saying this is because I am more of a SQL developer. I am more familiar with exploring data in the data lake this way rather than actually exploring it with Spark. But there are other people. There are people in my team who are more comfortable exploring this with Spark and the different languages such as Python, Scala, and things. I could have done that as well, and I'll show you how to do that. But before that, let me actually show you what I learned. What I learned is this particular file, it has vendor ID, it has drop-off information, it has passenger count. That's interesting. It has lat long. You know what? I don't need to cleanse any of this data. I just need to filter out those files. But before I go and do the next stage of prep, I wanted to show you one quick thing. With SQL On Demand, it is not just about running these very simple queries. It is also about using the power of the SQL language and being able to run more complex queries directly on the data lake without having to worry about any of the provisioning resources. So here is an example of one of those queries. And I'm going to run this. I don't know how long this, how much data this is going across. But this is basically a query which is saying the distribution of customer count across all the rides, which has happened in 2016. So while I run this, I'm going to, just given time, I'm going to go ahead a little bit. So now that I have explored my data, I want to be able to do certain other things with this, right? I want to be able to prepare the data. And to prepare the data, I want to show you a couple of ways that you can actually prepare the data using Azure Synapse Analytics. One of the ways to prepare this data is using data flows. And this is, I am going to go and show this to you. So here I can double-click my data flow, and I open this up. This takes the complexity of even writing code away from you. All I did was I said, what is my raw data source? What is the sink, which I'm putting it back in the data lake? And here, just tell me what transformation that I need to do. I can do joins, I can do a bunch of aggregates and a bunch of different things. And this runs the query, and this runs the transformation at cloud scale internally, what we do. Here I'm just saying the data that I want to remove is a 2015, 16, 17, 18. I could have also chosen to do this in a notebook. So here is a notebook that I'd created using Scala and doing exactly the same thing. I just realized I also have 2014 in here. But what I have just showed you is I can do both code first and code free ways of doing data transformation. It is not just these simple transformations. I can use the power of Spark, Apache Spark, using Python, Scala, C#, Spark SQL, and I can do all of the things that folks familiar in my organization want to do for their data transformation. Once I transform this data, now I want to be able to say, I want to load it into my SQL pools and create my BI reports on top of this. So how do I do this? I could have done this in multiple ways. We have a first-class Spark to SQL connector in which right here in the notebook, I can put that in and move the data directly to my SQL pools into the tables. Or in this particular demo, I just took the data, I copied it into my SQL pools, into staging tables, and used stored procedures to optimize it. So let me show you how I did that. I took the data, I am closing my storage accounts. Here is the EDW SQL pool that I created. The data is going into my staging tables. I'll stay with the yellow cab. I'll show you the top 1,000 rows. But while that is running, I could also have taken this data. I use stored procedures in order to optimize the data. And the way I created that pipeline for the stored procedures is literally right-clicked on the stored procedure, said add to pipeline. So this is what I mean by bringing together all of these different capabilities very easily. Some of the things that I wanted to show you, this is the data warehouse that you know, your SQL pool. You can run all the queries that you're familiar with. For example, I wanted to show you the query which I have written of a view which the original dashboard runs off. Oops. And by the way, the simplicity of using whether I want SQL on demand for serverless or I want my provision is literally this drop-down. That's how easy you can do. So I select this drop-down. I'll select EDW, which is the SQL pool that I created, and I'm going to run this query. This query is what actually drives this particular report. And you can see this here. I'm getting the responses back. And you can see this in the chart. So we have actually even bought quick visualization capabilities for both SQL developers and Spark developers. So basically bringing more and more of these capabilities together. Here is another query that I have run. So what this query does is I bought some holiday data together. And I just wanted to see, like if I live in New York, I want to make some extra money on the side. So which public holiday do I work in? So I took the yellow cab data and saw that, oh, New Year's Day, Washington's birthday, and this is broken up by years. But if I want to aggregate it, I'll do this on a Power BI report, and I'll actually show you how to do that as well. But before doing that, I wanted to quickly talk about Azure Machine Learning. One of the things that we have done is, because AI is such an important part of analytics, we have integrated first class with Azure Machine Learning. So I can open up my Spark my notebook, and I can basically use, sorry, I was looking at this earlier, so let me start this from the top. So what I can do is, let's say I know which holiday that I want to work on. Which area in New York do I want to go and wait with my car so as to maximize my tips? So tips or fares, so I want to predict what is going to be my tips or fares at a particular date in what location in New York. So for this, I'm not a data scientist, but I do know a little bit of Python. So I can basically use the AutoML capabilities in Azure Machine Learning and be able to create my, actually work with AutoML, which recommends which is the right model to choose. And once this right model is chosen, register this model in Azure Machine Learning and be able to infer using the same Spark cluster that I had created in the beginning, where I'm doing my training and inference. And then I can actually create the data set which I want to publish into, or I want to move into my warehouse or SQL pool from where I can run interesting queries. So this is, if you see, I'm doing this from a single pane of glass, and this is the experiment in the Azure Machine Learning Service, but this is that tight collaboration between multiple services, which is very important. Now that I have all of this information, I want to actually go and see if I can go back to my dashboard and, my report. And in my Power BI report, I want to update it with some new information. So let's say I just want to update in my Power BI report that I originally started with. Let's say holiday information and the holidays in which you have the most number of trips. This is how easy it is. We allow you to link a Power BI workspace with the Synapse Analytics workspace. And once you link this, we pull all the data sets, we pull all the reports, and so now I can do this report development right in this experience. So I can choose to select what is the holiday name, what is the number of trips, or I could have selected anything else. And what I'm doing right now is this is going and getting the data which is there in my SQL pool, creating the report, and all I need to do is file save. Once I do the file save, this is what my end business users are using, right? Because this is powerbi.com. So what I have done is I have gone and updated this data directly into Power BI. This is what I mean by saying, so I do that and immediately my business users see this. So this is what I mean by saying bringing all of these things together under a single pane of glass, in the same management, in the same monitoring, with all the power of SQL Analytics and Spark and data integration with Azure Synapse Analytics, tightly integrated with Azure Machine Learning and Power BI, that now you can sit in a single place and create your end-to-end analytics solution. And the place where I started with today, where I showed you you could create this report, with all the new insights, I ended with what you got back in your Power BI report. Hope this gives you a good idea of the capabilities of Azure Synapse Analytics. Now that I've done this, I want to quickly go through in the next 7.5 minutes and talk a little bit more about the customer value. One of the things I want to say is we have worked with a variety of customers to get here. Even in our preview, we have been working with Deutsche Bank, Unilever, Southern Company, Greg is here, thank you for that, and a bunch of other customers to help us build this. And they themselves have said that Azure Synapse Analytics has enabled them to be able to get their insights from data faster. You'll see all these quotes from the customers in our blogs as well as our product site. So you will basically see how they have seen value of this. As you might have seen in the Jason Zander talk, if any of you guys went and saw this, how Unilever had mentioned what is the value of Azure Synapse Analytics that they got. Azure Synapse Analytics, the reason customers have seen this is because of the various values that it gives to customers. It's a limitless scale, it's the powerful insights, it's the unified experience that I showed you, and unmatched security, which is very important for enterprise customers. I hope what you saw today was how can I bring together my data lake and my data warehouse? Not just these two, how I can also add to my data warehousing, my SQL Analytics, Spark, and other capabilities. So big data and warehousing in the same service. And this runs over petabytes of data. You might have seen some earlier demos today where we had run this over petabytes of data with the scale of thousands of concurrent users being able to use this, both in the provision and on-demand way. And one of the important things about running an enterprise-grade solution is thinking about stuff like workload management, intelligent workload management. When my CEO wants to see a report which is driving something, I want to prioritize that over other jobs which are running in the system. Things like this are inherent and native to what you need to think when you're creating an analytics solution, and Azure Synapse Analytics provides this to you. One of the things which was mentioned is an independent GigaOM TPCH benchmark actually shows how Azure Synapse Analytics is 14% faster and costs 94% less than other cloud providers. You can actually see this report I'll share out the deck, and you'll be able to see the link for this as well. The second thing I hope I was able to show you today is how can you empower both your AI and BI workloads. How tight integration with Azure Machine Learning and Power BI with bringing data lakes and warehouses and Spark and SQL enables you to take your whole journey from raw data to insights to AI to BI. The goal is you to empower your data developers, your data scientists, your business users, get them their limitless insights faster. The other thing is the unified experience for data where you start with you have the flexibility of analytics that you need, unified experience for monitoring, unified experience for management, and really breaking the silos of the different teams and enabling them to collaborate in a single development experience. And of course, advanced security and privacy features. This is core to what we are taking forward with Azure Synapse Analytics. Industry-leading security and privacy, data protection, access control, authentication, network security. You saw things like single sign-on that I did not put credentials. It flew all the way through from Spark to SQL to my data lake to data integration. And of course, threat detection, which is already built into my Synapse Analytics SQL pools. One of the important things is you cannot just build a monolithic service. You need to think about the ecosystem and the ISV ecosystem which is around there. I already showed you how we have partners with Power BI, machine learning, Azure Data Share. One of the things, because we have evolved the SQL data warehouse, all of our partners with the SQL data warehouse are already a part of Azure Synapse Analytics. And because of this, the Informaticas, the Talentees, all of our Attunity, all of our partners are, you can work with them in your solution right today with Synapse Analytics. And the fact that we are bringing big data and warehousing together gives you the flexibility of really thinking about what more kinds of new ISV and partner ecosystem scenarios that you can bring together with Azure Synapse. All of the customers who are using Azure Synapse today, who are our SQL Data Warehouse customer, which evolved into Azure Synapse, will get all the features that I talked about. Right now, these features are in preview, but when it GAs, they will automatically get all of these features. Before I end, I wanted to actually tell you something about the interesting sessions. I strongly recommend that you go to a lot of the sessions which are here. If you want to learn more about your SQL pool warehousing capabilities, there is a bunch of sessions which my colleagues, Charles Feddersen, Igor, and folks are giving. There is a session which my colleague Ronnie, who is here, was giving on AI to BI, so really diving into the Azure Machine Learning and Power BI with Synapse Analytics, or how do you build your end-to-end solution, deep dive into data integration, preparation, serving with Azure Synapse will also be available. And of course, I just don't want to talk about Azure Synapse Analytics. I also want to give some insights into all the sessions that is happening in our end-to-end cloud scale analytics at Azure. We really want to tell you that we have a flexibility and a plethora of options for you to do what you want to do. And we have by the way, if folks found what I showed was interesting, where I went from a dashboard to do an end-to-end, we have a lab on Thursday, which my colleague Arno is going to run. And this lab, you will be able to do exactly what I did today. You will learn how to do this. So I strongly recommend that you come and see this lab. And we are always there at our booth. We are excited. We are releasing something today. I have 57 seconds left. So I did want to say thank you very much. I hope this was useful. I hope you got an insight into what we are doing here. And I'll be here for any questions. So thank you.